to 70% of everything we do is completely habitual. Our habits tell a story about our life.
There's a lot of talk around takes 21 days to create a habit.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to punch you. It is one of the longest standing
Myths
ever.
Yes.
And it's actually really harmful.
People that get successful outcomes, particularly consistently, have rewired their relationship with hard.
We have to be able to push through without motivation. It's not going to come.
A lack of awareness around this topic causes people to go into shame spirals quickly.
Self-efficacy is the number one predictor of success. When you list out all the costs, then you've got to go, is it actually worth it? Am I willing to sacrifice?
Hey team, and welcome to this episode of Elevate with Jack Delosa. I am very excited about today's conversation. I am joined by Dr Gina Cleo, who has a PhD in habits. She is a habit researcher, she's a speaker, she's an author, she's a dietitian, and most importantly, she helps human beings tap into the force that enables them to create their life and every aspect of their life the way they want it. As you probably know by now, this is a topic that's close to my heart because I believe that in order to build a successful business, build a successful relationship, build a successful career, attain a high level of health and fitness, it all comes back to your habits. It all comes back to, are you consistently doing the work to get there? And there's a whole minefield with that because it can be difficult. So Gina, a huge welcome to this show and thank you so much for coming in.
It's so good to be here with you.
I've done a few of these in my time and rarely am I this excited to delve into a conversation. We go way back. We met about 3 minutes ago.
Yep.
So
right in this room, actually.
Yeah.
It's where it all began.
If somebody's just tuned in, why should they listen to this podcast? What do you think they might get from it?
Well, up to 70% of everything we do is completely habitual. Our habits tell a story about our life. And you touched on it beautifully, and that success really starts with the things that we do day in and day out with our habits. So if there's someone who's listening and they're interested in success or living the life they've always wanted, this is where to be.
100%. I asked myself a question in 2018, and the question was, is it possible that my relationships are just the output of the habits that I've developed in my relationships? Is it possible that my business is just an output of the habits that I've developed in my business? Is it possible that my financial position, my health and fitness is just an output and an outcome of the habits that I've developed in that area of my life? And the answer that I came to at a fundamentally kind of true level is, yes, it is. Who was it that said, first we make our habits?
And our habits make us.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And so let's start by talking about what drew you into this space.
That takes us back to before my PhD, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd always struggled with consistency in my own life. I was this person with
Interesting.
all the enthusiasm in the world to get up and exercise or eat healthy or whatever it is. And I'd find myself falling off the wagon within hours or days of starting something. And I was so frustrated with that. I also was running a private practice as a dietitian at the time, and I found that same thing was happening to my clients,
Yeah.
you know, that they would work so hard on achieving something and then they would end up right back where they started. And I was like, there is something in our brain that is just not wired right. And I need to figure out, why is it some people wake up and when they say they're going to exercise, they do it? And other people, like myself, end up scrolling on Facebook Marketplace for 2 hours and not actually working out. What is the difference and how do I harness this? So I went into research and I found that every single article I read, like scientific literature, pointed to the fact that changing our habits is the only proven method of achieving long-term success. And this is where it started.
I shouldn't be, but I'm really surprised to hear you say that. And as you say that, ironically, I've never thought about it through my own lens, but ironically, I think that's what got me obsessed with consistency and habits. I was a guest on somebody's podcast last week, and they said to me at the end, they said, "You've said consistency about 60 times in this podcast," and I didn't even realize I'd done it. But it has become a real obsession for me, probably because what I just kind of felt into as you were saying that is, probably up until, I don't know, 7 years ago or something, I probably was extremely impulsive and inconsistent. And that was the area that I needed to work on in order to sharpen my game in every aspect of life. So that's super interesting. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I think a lot of people that are super passionate about something find that it's really a journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
Research is me search, right? It's like I'm totally into this and I'm so damn good at this because it matters so much to me.
Oh, research is me search. Shit.
Yeah.
You just summarized the first 38 years of my life. Yes, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. And so you mentioned, you try and start on a diet and you'd be scrolling Facebook Marketplace. Doesn't that happen to us all initially until we unlearn whatever's going on there?
Yes and no. I mean, some people say they're going to do something, they actually do it.
Just naturally.
Yes. Like, who are these people? The freaks. People with motivation, who are value-driven, who focus more on the long-term outcome than the short-term pain.
But even those people, sorry to interrupt, but and I don't know whether the research even kind of makes this distinction or asks this question, but because when you say that, I think of other high-level entrepreneurs that I know of.
Yeah.
The people that I know of that have gotten there, thinking long-term, happy to endure short-term pain for long-term gain, all that, did have to learn it.
Yeah.
And so I suppose my question is there a percentage, or do we have a rough percentage in terms of people that it comes naturally to, or is it more broadly learnt across the board?
We know that people with high levels of conscientiousness are better at making those decisions. It's not to say that they're not going to be scrolling on Facebook Marketplace
or they don't
and procrastinating.
Yeah.
Exactly. We all do it.
Yeah.
But is it at a level that it's impacting their life, their outcomes, their success, their relationships? Potentially not.
No.
Compared to someone maybe like you and I who were more impulsive, more reward-driven, less conscientious.
So that's because in psychology they talk about the big 5 traits, and that's one of them, conscientiousness.
Exactly.
And so that's the trait that relates to, in this context, being able to set a goal and do the work to get there.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, cool. So what stops people from achieving their goals and perhaps more specifically behaving in alignment with what they say they want?
There's like 1,000 things I could list off. The main ones that I find consistently, people set goals that are too big. They set too many goals. And they don't count the cost. So too bigger goals, we look at what other people are doing. We look at the long-term outcome and we just want that now. We're impatient. And we're hungry for it, which I love the ambition. Like, it's all awesome.
Yes.
But our brain's only capable of changing up to 3 things at one time. Now, those 3 things could literally be your new office space, the drive you had to do to work. Like, that's going to be different. And then you try to add these big goals onto it.
Yeah.
And it becomes overwhelming. Things also fall, we fall off the wagon when there's stress, illness, a disruption in our routine. And then when we fall, we're like, I'm just not the person who can create new habits. I'm just a failure. I just can't do this. Rather than being like, we all have setbacks and it's actually just about getting back up.
Yes.
So, creating habits is very much a process of 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yes.
And unless we see the fact that even those backward steps are part of the dance, it's part of the success.
Yes.
It becomes really hard to have the right mindset and attitude to keep moving forward.
Yes.
Because we're seeing them and we're focusing on them and they suck and we're like, I took a backward step, I've had a setback.
Yeah.
And that's all we focus on rather than, but I took 2 steps forward before that.
Yes. You said 3 things right there that I observe to be universal. And it's really interesting to hear you say this because, again, it's something that I talk about not from a place of academic research, more just from my own life and an observation of other people that have created success in their lives, and also observation of people that haven't. You said creating goals that are too big. You said creating goals that are across too many areas, lack of focus. And then the third one was not understanding cost. So you talked a little bit about the first one. Let's go into the second one in terms of too many areas.
Yeah. So again, because our brain just doesn't have the capacity to focus on too many things.
Yeah.
I often find that people's list of goals resembles like Santa's Christmas wish list. We want to do so many things. And when you think about it, we all kind of have it. Like we want to earn more money, to travel more, to be better partners, better parents. We want to have a gratitude practice and do more yoga and meditate and eat well and drink more water. Like we have so many things we want to do in our life. And our brain's just like, not going to happen. Like it's too much for our brain to do that. And it's not a dysfunction of our brain. We're actually trying to use a resource that doesn't work like that. Our brain needs to automate things because we're making about 35,000 decisions a day just on a random day. And so when we're trying to add new things, we're having to navigate a completely new space, which takes up more mental resources, more decision making, and those resources just aren't there.
Yeah.
So the real magic happens when you can just focus on one thing and do it really well.
Yes.
And only when that becomes more natural and habitual do you pick another one up.
This conversation is so cathartic for my soul, by the way. Just everything you're saying is so incredibly on point and resonates deeply. I want to go back to a lot there. Before we do, let's go to the third thing, which is not calculating the cost.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah, it
Talk
is.
to us about that.
Let's say you decide that you want to go to bed early and you want to be the kind of person who goes to bed on time because you know the next day you're going to wake up fresh, you're likely to exercise and eat well and be more emotionally balanced. So that's your goal. But for you to go to bed early, the cost of that is going to be reducing your caffeine intake, eliminating alcohol, not eating sugar or heavy red meats at night. It's going to impact your social circles potentially, or your social life. There are so many, you can't just scroll on your phone, hours before bed. You know that next episode that you want to play on Netflix, you're going to have to tell yourself, I'm not going to do that. You have to practice discipline. When you list out all the costs, then you've got to go, is it actually worth it? Am I willing to sacrifice all of this to get what I want? And it's only when the sacrifice is worth it can we actually go, yep, I'm committing to this long term. There's so many people that will set out to achieve a goal and the cost is too great. And when they weigh it up, they're like, actually, maybe it's not so bad that I'm doing this. I'm okay with having dessert every night because I don't want to sacrifice it. So that's counting the cost.
Yeah, you just described my entire routine. So Panda and I, we go to bed at like 8 o'clock. And
Love
then
it.
I'm up at around 4:30, 5 a.m. And so what that means is that, sometimes I might host a dinner or something and it will get about halfway through the dinner and I'll be incredibly tired, right? Or yesterday we were coming up to Gold Coast for a couple of days and someone from my team was there and they were like, I'm coming up today as well. Should we catch up tonight? And I looked and I didn't know how to answer the question because my brain's going, nighttime is for sleeping. I go to bed at 8. I need to wind down for like an hour and a half before that so I can sleep well. And I track my sleep and everything through my Aura ring. And so it's like doing something social at nighttime is almost like out of my reality these days because I've kind of wired myself that way. You mentioned in terms of making 3,500,000 decisions a day. One of the things that I observe both in myself and others is it's during that stress point that you alluded to earlier where you're most at risk of reverting to your old patterns. And so one of my goals at the moment is lose fat, build muscle, which means calorie deficit and weights training in the gym, where myself and others trip up from a calorie deficit perspective is like the last 2 hours of the day because you're tired, you're exhausted, and eating the chocolate is is a very attractive comfort at that point. Is there any kind of, and so let me tell you how I overcome that, for example. I have dinner and then I brush my teeth.
Nice.
And so once you brush your teeth, you don't want to eat anything. And so it eliminates the desire completely.
Yeah.
And so I suppose that's a tactical thing, right? But is there a psychological or a deeper piece of advice or thing that you can point to help people stick to the habits that we want, especially when they get hard?
I think it's being really real with the idea that it is going to get hard. It's not a matter of if, it's going to be a matter of when. Because life happens. It just always does.
Yeah.
And having a contingency plan for when it does. So say you're someone who wants to, I don't know, like go for a walk every day, and then what's going to happen when it's raining? What's going to happen when the kids are sick? What's going to happen if you're on holiday?
Yes.
Having those plans ahead of time so that you're not faced with them and then you're like, oh, what do I do now when you're already down and out is really helpful.
Yes, yes. A big one for that for people on a nutrition plan, as you would know better than anyone, is traveling.
Yes.
You know, you're at the airport, you're on a plane, you're at a hotel.
Yeah.
And so meal prepping, having a microwave in your room, doing all of the things you need to do. Or even, you know, I've got a friend that doesn't even stay at hotels. He gets Airbnb so he can cook in his own kitchen.
Nice.
But it's like, it's that whole planning ahead of things.
Yeah.
I want to come back to the price and the cost conversation. I suppose one of my criticisms of like modern day pop psychology is this whole like you can have everything, be everything tomorrow type thing.
Yeah.
And I think it leads a lot of people to set goals where they haven't even considered the price, let alone are they willing to pay it.
Yeah.
And so how would you, if you were listening to this and it was somebody was listening to this and they wanted to set a meaningful goal, is there a kind of process you would go through in order to identify and elicit what's the cost, what's the sacrifice required, and a decision-making process in terms of how do I decide whether I actually want it or not? Because if I just add to that one last thing, the price is the price. Like you can't change the price. Like you want to lose weight, calorie deficit, good nutrition, and, you know, there's more to it than that. But you will be hungry sometimes. You know what I mean? You want to build muscle, you have to go to the gym. You want to build a business, it takes consistency and a lot of difficulty and a lot of overcoming intellectual complexities that you need to wrestle with. So the price isn't going to change. And to my observation, a lot of people are trying to find shortcuts around the price and therefore kind of tripping themselves up. How do we calculate price? What's the decision-making process?
I think sometimes it's a process of trial and error. I think sometimes it's like actually putting yourself into the position of starting this goal or moving towards the thing you want to achieve. And then you realize what it's going to cost you and you're like, hang on, is it worth it?
Yes.
You know, like a few years ago, I've got some friends in Sydney who I call banker wankers, and they really are that. They're like, you know, these crazy rich millionaires who sit around on their yachts talking about how much more money they need to make. Like it's outrageous. And when I'm spending time with them, there's always a part of me that's like, I need to work more. I need to earn more money. Like I need to have a bigger yacht. Like I don't even have a yacht. And then I step away from that and I come home to my dream home. I live in my dream home on acreage here in Mudgeeraba on the Gold Coast. And I'm like, you know what? I've actually got it all. I've got ultimate flexibility and freedom. I run my own business. I run my own hours. I can go to the beach whenever the hell I want to. The costs for me to own a yacht with my banker wanker friends, it's not worth the lifestyle sacrifice that I have to make.
Yes.
Of course, you know, being an entrepreneur, the more I work, the more I invest, the more money I can make. I know that.
Yeah.
The more I hustle, the more I can earn. But I don't like hustling. I don't want to work more than 4 hours a day. I don't want to have a situation where I'm not flexible and I have to be pinned down to a certain area.
Yes.
So for me, that's how I worked out that sacrifice isn't worth it. The cost of that isn't it. And now I'm so super content in my own life and I don't need A yacht, which is ridiculous. I had to work it out like that. I know. On weekends, you'll find me out in my acreage property with a chainsaw and my gumboots, and I couldn't be happier.
Yes.
But I had to come back to my own values and go, what is it that makes me happy? What do I want my life to look like?
Yes.
And I think that's sometimes how we have to work out the cost. Same with, I'm like you guys, I go to bed at 8:30.
Yeah.
Up pretty early as well. My friends bought me one of those doormats, and it says, please be out by 8:30. It literally says, welcome, please leave by 8:30, because they know
That is
so
brilliant.
bad. Yeah.
We need one of these in our life.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
It's so rude to have a dinner that starts at 7. Like, people know I won't be attending.
Same.
It's too late. Yeah.
Yeah. That's mine.
But the sacrifice for me to achieve that is worth it, because I feel so damn good when I've had a good night's sleep and I wake up fresh the next day and I get to move my body and feel good for the rest of the day. Nothing will take that away from me. So yes, those sacrifices that I had to make to achieve that, I know is worth it because I've trialed and errored it.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, because I think that a lot of people ask me, should everybody be an entrepreneur? And my answer is exactly what you just said. It's like, well, it depends whether they want the pros and the cons that come with it. Mm-hmm. It's not as simple as, do you want a successful business? It's, do you want a successful business, and are you willing to go through all the challenges required to get it? Yeah. And so my kind of mental model of how I've come to think about it is, there's no like right or wrong goals. It's not about, like, there's nothing noble about being an entrepreneur. It's either you want the pros and the cons or you don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing right or wrong about having a yacht. Yeah. It's either you want the yacht and you're willing to pay the price, or you don't.
Exactly.
And having a yacht isn't necessarily better than not having a yacht, because you're probably happier than a lot of people with the yacht.
Totally.
With your chainsaw and your gumboots.
Exactly right. It's exactly right. 100%.
Yeah, because I think we romanticize a lot of like the yachts and the whatevers in today's culture.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not the point. The point is, who am I? What do I want? How do I want to spend my days? And if you can come to know that and live according to that, that's more enriching than any yacht will ever be.
Totally. That is such a fulfilling place to be.
Yes. It's interesting. One of the things, because there's so much of this I'm relating back to my own experience, but also a lot of the philosophies that I've developed and often talk about. I started asking myself a question a few years ago. Pandra and I have got a 2-year-old daughter, right? And so it was probably around the time that we fell pregnant, or maybe around the time Ariella was born. My question was, how would I set up my business life so that I could do it forever? Mm-hmm. And then I started to do that. And what that meant is that I went from impulsive and high highs and burnout and so on and so forth to being really consistent. And since I've been consistent, my results and outcomes have increased substantially. And it feels like I'm doing them easier.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about another thing that really interests me about this subject is, when you train yourself to do hard things, doing hard things becomes easier. Mm-hmm. And so like somebody that goes to the gym 5 days a week and has been doing it for 5 years, they wake up, they go to work, they go to the gym, awesome. But somebody that might just be training the habit wakes up and thinks, ugh, I've got to go to the gym this afternoon. And then at work, they're thinking about, fuck, I've got to go to the gym this afternoon. And they're kind of like, and they get home and they reluctantly kind of go to the gym. They've both taken the same action, but the first person has chewed through zero willpower, and the second person has chewed through a lot of emotional energy and willpower. Can you talk to us a little bit about that in terms of how one could train themselves to lean into difficult things and the benefit of doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2 things are happening there in the brain.
Yeah.
And you've touched on it really beautifully. So the first person has created neural pathways in their brain. So when you say wake up and go to the gym, there's literally a neural pathway that's created between getting up and going to the gym. And the more you do it, the more efficient this neural pathway becomes. It becomes thicker, more accessible. And so your brain's like, I wake up, I go to the gym, and then it happens automatically. Beautiful thing.
I've heard people talk about that. Is it a physical thread in the brain, and it's like a spider web and then a string and
I can show you a video of it. It's fascinating.
Okay, so that's amazing. So that's a real thing.
Real thing, yes. And it's kind of like back alleys and highways. There are little neural pathways that you might not use very much. And then there are these highways, things that you're doing every day. Like for you, going to bed at 8 p.m. It's just like what you do.
It's hard to get me to not do that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's automatic. Like 7 p.m. comes and you're like, wind down time. I love it. It's awesome. Okay, the second thing that's happening in the person's brain who's, developed the habit or is doing hard things easily. So there's a part in our brain called the mid-cingulate cortex. And this little area, essentially, what we see is that it grows in people who do hard things. And this area is also responsible for things like motivation and like getting shit done. And so if you're someone who pushes through and gets hard things done, you grow this part of your brain, making it easier to do other hard things. So we see it bigger in people like athletes, people who have lost significant amounts of weight because they've really had to work hard at doing that. And then we see that it's smaller in people in larger bodies and in people who don't have like a whole lot of ambition or don't do hard things, basically. And
this is so fascinating.
Yeah, and I love thinking to myself, I think of these neural pathways and I think, if I do this today, I'm not just benefiting today. I'm actually making it easier for myself to do it tomorrow. And that's a really beautiful gift to give to my tomorrow self. So I'm going to just get up and do it.
What I love about that is the neural pathway that you're forming is kind of strengthening your relationship and your action with this thing. But then the mid-cingulate cortex, you're actually strengthening your ability to do hard things in any field or aspect.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And you'll probably find that entrepreneurs that you work with, they're just good at getting shit done. They could be like really fit, have great relationships, or they're interested in also personal development and other areas of their life because they've got that tenacity.
Yes, yeah.
The resilience.
I think this is why I'm so passionate about this conversation is I spend so much of my life, I suppose, trying to help people understand the benefit of doing difficult things because I've experienced it and I've got a lot of really good friends that, have become addicted, for lack of a better word, to doing hard things and they benefit from that. And then but I also see a lot of people struggling. And often it's an avoidance or trying to shortcut the difficulty of any area of life that's kind of circumventing the results. One of the things I often talk about is we have to rewire our relationship with hard. To my observation, in my own experience, the number one reason we don't achieve our goals is that the human brain is wired to avoid difficult things.
Yeah.
And a key, like probably the number one determinant I see between people that get a successful outcome and don't is the people that get successful outcomes, particularly consistently, have rewired their relationship with hard. And so they don't, the human brain, when we come up against hard, the human brain seeks to retreat just naturally. We want to go back into the familiar old pattern because it's safe and that's what our brain is designed to do. It's the comfort of the old pattern.
And it needs less it needs less cognitive resources. And our brain's like, I'm going to do anything to preserve energy here because I'm already so busy making 35,000 decisions.
Yes.
So this hard thing, I'm not about it.
Yes. Whereas the person that gets the outcome particularly consistently literally views that feeling of I'm being challenged here as a signpost towards I'm about to get what I want.
Yeah.
And so it's a rewiring of how we interpret challenge.
Oh, I love that. That's golden.
Can you elaborate on that?
No, that's brilliant. I don't need to. Put a full stop in that and print it on a T-shirt.
I
You should.
Do that.
It's
I'll
brilliant.
send you one.
Please do. And I'll send you a photo of me in my gumboots and my chainsaw. It's like everyone's happy. Oh my gosh.
One of the things you mentioned towards the top of the conversation that I think might be constructive for those watching and listening around approaching hard is one thing that you often talk about is, and you spoke about it earlier, is starting with smaller habits.
Yeah.
What's that about? Is it about it's easier and kind of stacking the wins? What's it about? And can you give us an example as to, you know, where somebody might set a big goal or a big habit and how they might break that down?
Oh, this is such a glorious question. I'm like excited. The hardest part of doing anything is always the first step.
Yes.
It's the first workout, the first day of a calorie deficit, the first day you put your phone away instead of, you know, scrolling aimlessly. It's the first time you have to emotionally regulate instead of lashing out at your partner.
Yes.
The first is the hardest. And if we can reduce that barrier to entry, we can do anything. If you make that first step so much easier, then you've done it. And now you've created the neural pathway. And once that neural pathway is created, it's much easier to expand on it than to try to create a big one from the very start. I worked with a client once, I'll call him Gary, and Gary was carrying a significant amount of excess weight. His doctor said to him, homeboy, you need to do some exercise or your heart's going to conk out. Gary hadn't moved. Like he's the kind of guy who didn't even go out to his letterbox. You know, he was really quite sedentary. And when I started working with him, understandably, he felt so daunted at the idea of moving his body. And I just said to him, look, for the first week, all I want you to do is put your shoes on. That's it. I just want you to get up and put your sneakers on. And he did that. And he found that when he put his sneakers on, that he was more likely to walk around the house. And then he went out to his letterbox and then eventually got curious what was down the road, round the block. And he just would say to himself, I'm just going to walk 2 more houses today. And he would do that, like just 2 more. After a year, Gary signed himself up to a 10K race and now calls himself a runner.
Wow.
And he said to me after a year, if you said to me, Gina, that I'm going to run a 10K race, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yes.
But you gave me something so small, I knew I couldn't say no to doing it. And that's the magic. You do something so small and then you achieve it. And your brain actually doesn't know the difference between achieving something big and something small. It just knows you've achieved a goal. And what that does is it increases your self-efficacy, which is the belief in yourself to achieve something. Now, self-efficacy is the number one predictor of success. The number one predictor of us achieving our goals is the belief in our ability that we can and will achieve that task.
Wow.
So you're increasing self-efficacy through these small wins, and that prompts you to want to do it again and to do more and be bigger and better.
Yes.
And that's the magic of small wins. You know, people often think, well, what's going to happen? You know, putting my shoes on is not that great. I'm like, putting your shoes on is bloody magic.
Yeah.
Just try it.
Yeah.
And it's like letting go of the comparison of what other people are doing and how much they're achieving. It's like, but you don't know where they started.
Exactly.
And you don't know how long they're going to go for. Like we're here for the long haul.
Yeah.
And habits are definitely a process of little wins consistently.
Yes. You said lower the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
That is such a great way to think about that. You're lowering the barrier to entry to get in the game.
Yeah.
Because do you think that the other thing that happens when we talk about starting with small habits is we tend as human beings to underestimate compounding?
Yes.
So you go from putting on your shoes to being a runner a year late, and there's this exponential growth curve. Do you think that's part of it in that we're not good at future pacing exponential growth and therefore we think we need to run the marathon next month, which is what I tried to do in 2016.
How did that go?
Injured my knee ever since.
I can relate to that.
Where were
I started
you in
powerlifting for some
2015?
reason. Yeah, I know. I did the same thing. Yeah, because okay, if we want to say get fit, just putting our shoes on is not going to achieve that today. So you put your shoes on and you go to bed that night going, I still didn't achieve my goal. And you do it again tomorrow, I still didn't achieve my goal. You went out to your letterbox and back, goal is still not achieved. but we're forgetting, like, it's almost like we resent these small changes because we're not getting what we want now, when very much they are the foundation. They are what we need to do to get that.
Yeah.
I think there's also a lot of messaging around, go hard or go home, or if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough, and all these sort of bullshit messages that don't actually align with how our brain works. And so we're constantly told that we're not doing enough, that all we need is more willpower. If we just had more motivation, we could do more. And it bugs me so much when I see that stuff, because it's setting us up to fail.
Yes.
The thing is, we have to be able to push through without motivation. It's not going to come. You're not going to wake up and feel like doing it.
Yes.
But if it's too big, you actually won't do it. But if it's putting on your shoes, you will do it.
I agree with the motivation. It's not going to last. Do you think of what replaces it as discipline? Is that how you language it, or is it not discipline either?
It's discipline and habit.
It's habit, yeah.
Yeah. It's discipline to start with, and that gets replaced with automaticity, which is habit.
Yes. Which comes back to that, if you get in the habit of doing hard things, then it becomes easier because it's kind of just a habit.
Yeah.
Which, I think is probably another interesting thing to talk about, because habit, like the definition of habit, I'm interested in your definition of it, because it's kind of like it's something that your brain can do without any effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a behavior or thought that's in the automated part of the brain. So your brain's now doing it subconsciously.
There's a lot of talk around takes 21 days to create a habit.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to punch you.
And I'm I'm really glad. I was actually thinking about this a couple of days ago. I had someone in my team often refer to the 21-day thing. And I was literally reflecting on this yesterday, independent of yours and my conversation. I go, I don't think it's just intuitively, personal experience, I don't think it's a 21-day thing. That's not the metric. That's not the measurement.
No, it is one of the longest standing myths ever.
Yes.
And it's actually really harmful. So the myth came in the 1960s. There was a surgeon who did facial reconstruction surgery on patients. And he found that after about 3 weeks, his patients would stop being shocked when they looked in the mirror because they had a new face. And he was like, well, it must take 21 days for neuroplasticity, which is habit change. And that has like gone on in generations, but it's not true.
No.
It actually takes anywhere between sort of 2 weeks to up to a year to develop a habit.
Yep.
The simpler the habit, the quicker it'll develop.
Yep.
The more intention you have, the quicker it'll develop, the more habitual you are as a person, the less stress you have, the more supportive your environment is. There are lots of factors that go into it. On average, it's about 10 weeks. Now, why the 21-day myth is detrimental is because let's say you start a new habit of going to the gym and you've done that for 21 days. And on the 22nd day, you're like, this is still really hard. You're like, I'm just not the kind of person who's wired for habits. I just can't do it. I'm a failure. And it actually sends people in a really bad spiral. But if you go, okay, this is going to take probably around 10 weeks and I'm just going to keep on keeping on, that fuels your consistency to want to keep going.
Yeah, that's so beautifully put. It fuels your consistency. I think that's the other reason I'm particularly passionate about this particular topic is I feel like a lack of awareness around this topic causes people to go into shame spirals quickly. Without understanding the kind of the science and the neuroscience that's happening and therefore how to work with it, which kind of comes back to what you were saying before in terms of you're not going to win every day. There's going to be wins and losses. The term you used was that's part of the dance. That's all part of the dance to success. And anybody that's succeeded in anything has experienced that. You know, it's the other thing you said was, I think, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I'm like, that's exactly what happens. It's exactly what happens. Let's finish with this. What's a practical piece of advice? Somebody's watching this going, you know, okay, so I'm going to choose one area of my life and I want to start with one small habit. What's the best way to start from here?
Get yourself a habit tracker, which can be a paper-based or an app-based tracker. Write down your goal, the smallest part of that goal that you can do. You know, if you want to do 10,000 steps, start with 1,000, you know, as an example. write that down. And then every single day you do it, tick it off. That gives your brain a little hit of dopamine and it makes you want to do it again.
Yep.
Make your goal really specific. Like
Yeah.
what time of day you're going to do it, where are you going to be? You have to be triggered to do it. Like don't depend on your willpower or
Yep.
your memory. So it might be at 7 a.m. I'm going to do this.
Yep.
And, you know, you can take it up a notch by having accountability, whether it's a partner, a coach, it doesn't even matter who it is.
Yeah.
Just someone who's in your corner with it can be really helpful.
This has been such a good conversation.
Oh, thank you.
You do a program which I want everybody to do around developing the habit of creating positive habits.
Yes.
Can you talk to us quickly about that and how we can all do it?
Oh, thank you. So it's called Your Habit Blueprint, and it's honestly, it's my life's work and decades of research that is condensed in this beautiful course. It's online. It's 7 modules and about 20-ish little short bite-sized videos. There's a workbook and a whole bunch of resources, and it's really for the people who are just ready. They're ready to create habits that truly stick and to break habits in their life that they're ready to get rid of, to understand why motivation doesn't work and what to do instead. And, you know, it's one of those resources that can truly change someone's life if you've committed to it. It's something that I'm really, really proud of. You know, I wrote a book, The Habit Revolution, last year, and it just brings a lot of that resource to life. So if you know, have a spare 10 minutes in your day, like while you're doing the dishes, you can watch a video, be enlightened by it.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's called Your Habit Blueprint. It's available online.
This is the other component of the whole conversation. A lot of people think I don't have time, but we all have a lot of time.
Yeah.
We all find the time for the things that are
do it
important
in
to
like
us.
while you're driving, commuting.
gym,
it doesn't matter.
yes.
Yeah, that's it.
The course that we're talking about and the book that we're talking about, I honestly think it's the most important topic in human behavior right now. And so if you're watching this, do that now. Dr. Gina Cleo, thank you so much for coming on.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so
Appreciate
much
it.
for having me.
Thank you. If you got value from this episode, do this now. Hit subscribe and leave a comment. That's what helps us to grow this show, attract world-class guests, and keep bringing you powerful conversations that move the needle.